Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Congregation Beth Israel. If this is your first time, if this is your 1,000th time, or perhaps if it's your bar mitzvah, welcome to Congregation Beth Israel. We're glad to have you here. We are also here to acknowledge and celebrate Shabbat. Shabbat gives us the opportunity to mark time. 6 days a week, we get to mark stuff. We get to acknowledge all the beautiful stuff that surrounds us. And there is lots of beautiful stuff. But on Shabbat, we get to celebrate and appreciate the relationships in our lives. And as our friends and family grow and shift and change into various roles in their lives, Shabbat gives us the opportunity to acknowledge that, to share together, to be together, to celebrate together. Hopefully in your hands is our Sidur Mishkan Tefillah. If you don't have a copy of our prayer book, I invite you to grab one from the foyer outside. Almost all the prayers are going to be in there, and anything that is not going to be in there is going to be up on our screens. We also want to welcome our virtual community, those who are joining us from the Philippines to Bolivia to La Jolla. And so we want to wish a Shabbat Shalom. So if everyone could turn and face our camera in the back and wave a Shabbat Shalom. So glad to have you as part of our community. We begin by acknowledging how good it is to be together. Page 70, Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
One of the privileges, or the privileged rituals that we have as we become adults in our community, is the wearing of a talit, as it is called in Hebrew, or a prayer shawl, and some of you are wearing one in the congregation. They are many colors and sizes and shapes, but the important part are on the four corners are these fringes that are wrapped and knotted so as to remind us, and they add up to 613, which are the number of laws in our Torah, in our scroll, that Milo will be reading from today. We try and do as many as we can. We try our best to make a difference in the world through these commandments. And so I want to invite Yvette and George up to give Milo his talit so that he can wear it from now on.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hitev v'tzitzit.
Amen.
Good job, buddy.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. And I can't believe, sorry about that, I can't believe Milo's 14. It doesn't seem real to me. And time does seem to fly. And so I think the nice thing today is that maybe time slows down a little bit. We get a chance to spend some time with family, be in the moment, hang out with friends, and of course celebrate Milo's accomplishment today. And I'm really proud of Milo because he had a really, really tough go through his Hebrew studies. It lagged through COVID, and he has an older brother, Constantine, who gave him a hard time virtually every single day he was trying to study. And Constantine would tell him that he was never going to make it. But he did. He's here today, and he's doing it. And he never gave up, and he kept trying, and he persevered. And most importantly, I think he really stayed curious and stayed thoughtful through the process, which I think is great. And so he, I think, now has a really love for the Jewish traditions and the culture, and I think that leads me to say a few words about sort of the guiding force in the love of his Jewish faith. And I think Milo quickly learned that he couldn't ask me for help when he was studying Hebrew. He tried, and I kept telling him I couldn't help him, and I think he was dumbfounded by that. But I directed him to Yvette, and I think that's where this comes from. Yvette and I are of different faiths, and part of our courtship, she sort of mandated that the kids would be raised Jewish, and I wanted her to marry me, so I said, sure, not a problem. And back then, I thought we were going to have maybe one child, maybe two. So now, 4 kids later, Yvette's devotion and love for her culture and her traditions have really guided our whole family, and most importantly, I think has been critical to Milo's success today. And so, a few words about Milo. Milo is a very thoughtful. He told me not to cry, and I'm not good at that, so I tear up much easier than Yvette. So he's a very generous and happy boy and very empathetic, and he really has a good soul. And I think that that's really fantastic. And I think what's interesting is, at least from my layperson's perspective on his Torah portion, his Torah portion talks about generosity in life, and Milo embraces both of those things very well. He tries hard at school, he treats people well, he loves his friends and family, and he's devoted to his brother Theodore very much. Right, Theodore? And so I'm confident that Milo will carry his traditions, his caring, his empathy, his Jewish faith, and his Jewish culture throughout his life, and he's going to make the world a better place. So thank you all for coming.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work the perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. We pray responsibly on 220, the Psalms of Ashrei. Ashrei Yoshvei Ve'eteha, Od Yahelu HaSelah.
Ashrei Ha'am Shechachalo, Ashrei Ha'am Shadonai Elohav.
Tehillah LeDavid, Armim HaElohei, HaMelech V'Avarcha Shimcha Le'olam Va'ed.
B'chol Yom Avachecha, V'Hallelecha Shimcha Le'olam Va'ed.
Gadol Adonai Umhullah, Ma'ud V'Ligdo Ein Heker.
Dor LeDor Yishaveh Ma'asecha, U'Gvuratecha Yagidu.
Hadar Kevod Hodeha, V'Devra Nifoteha Asiha.
Ve'azuz Noratecha Yomeru, U'Delecha Asaprena.
Zeherav Tuvha, Yaveyu Vitzikatha Yerenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, Erech apayim ugdal chesed.
Tov Adonai Leko, Vavra Amav Alko Masav.
Hoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'hasidecha yirehucha.
Kavod Mahuta, Yomeru Ugvurata Yadeveru.
Lehodia levnei Adam gvurotav, ukvod hadar malchuto.
Mahuta Mahut, Ko Alomim Shelta Beho Dor Vador.
Somech Adonai lecho hanoflim, v'zokef lecho hakfufim.
Eneho Eloha, Yaseveru Va'ata Noten Lahem Et Olam Be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, umaspia lecho chai ratzon.
Sadiq Adonai Beho, Dara'av Hasid Bahon Masav.
Karov Adonai lecho korav, lechol asher yikrahu ve'emet.
Ratzon Yire'av, Yasev Et Shabbatam Yishma Ve'yoshi'em.
Shomer Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol harshayim yashmid.
Tehilat Adonai, Yadaver Pi, Vivareko Basar Shem Kocho Leolam Va'ed.
Va'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
Please rise if you are able for our tefillah on page 226.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei bneihem, L'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh kol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach, U'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot u'mido melach. Melech memit u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרז אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישריענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 233. And who is wise? The one who learned from everyone, and who is mighty, one who controls one's urges, and who is rich, one who is happy with what one has. Page 235. Our ancestors brought you spices and foods to gain your favor. O God, most precious in our day is the offering of time. Accept this gift we have set aside, the sanctity of this full day, to revel in your presence, to celebrate the beauty of your handiwork, to rejoice in the gift of life.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Page 236. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer and love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn loving into your servants, pour our spirit upon us. Page 239. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. Adonai, our God, how majestic is your name throughout the earth.
Baruch
Ata Adonai,
Hatov
Shimcha Ulcha Na'eh Lehodot.
We join together on page 240 in Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Please take a few moments of silence.
In just a moment, we will begin Seder Kriyat Torah, the order for reading Torah. And one of the rituals that we get to participate in is the passing of Torah through the generations. And our tradition teaches that when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments, he didn't just receive the 2 tablets, but indeed he received the whole of Torah, everything from the written Torah to the oral Torah and all of its traditions that would come later, from how the first letters of Torah would be interpreted to how we light our Shabbat candles. This too is Torah. And so we begin our order for reading Torah on page 246. And as I invite the congregation to rise, I'll invite Yvette and George, Alan and Marcia Green, and Dino Ricos as we pass the Torah through the generations of Milo's family into his arms. Won't you please rise? Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromima shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai agedula ve'agevura ve'hatiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod. Ki ho hashamayim u'va'aretz, Ho hashamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai ha'malacha, ve'ani na'aseh lecho lerosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu le'akodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu le'akodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
One of the beautiful things that happens on Shabbat and holidays, special occasions, is we have the recitation and the reading of Torah. And one of the amazing things is that each and every week, every year, we read and reread the cycle of Torah, but every time we read it, it gives us something new. So we're supposed to turn it and turn it and turn it again until we find something, a new spark. We call it chidush, something new and inspiring. And so this week we're learning about, in the Torah portion, we're reaching for next week's Torah portion on Shabbat afternoon, So Milo's already going to read next week's Torah portion because as of Shabbat afternoon, we're yearning for the next week's portion. So he is reading from the book of Genesis, and he's reading from Parshat Chayei Sarah. Chayei Sarah means the life of Sarah. Who was Sarah? Sarah was a matriarch, one of the first Jews in our understanding of who Jews were in their identity. And she was the wife of Abraham, and those of you may be familiar with Abraham, and she is not someone without complexity. So why then, in Chayei Sarah, the Torah portion named the life of Sarah, we start with her death? We start with her death because there is so much to understand. And it's so much to teach us today, and I know that Milo is going to give us his own insights and takeaways after he leads us in his Torah and Haftarah reading this afternoon. But just one thing that always strikes me with this week's portion. This portion is about understanding that where Abraham is encountering the time when he has to find a burial place for Sarah, and what that means to lay someone into their final resting place. And here we understand that all that encompasses a human being is their complexities, is their nuances. And we're not just looking at someone's favor and someone's gifts and someone's skills and all of the beautiful things in life. We're looking at the holistic individual, what makes them them. And Sarah, again, was not without her flaws. But our tradition tells us that laying someone into their final resting place is one of the utmost honors and respects that we can give to someone who passes on. It's not something that we can render incomplete in a sense. It is the greatest, what we call kavod hamet, which means honor and respect for those who passed on. The word respect is tied to weightiness, it's tied to substance. So when we place someone into their final resting place, we're not doing it with just the notice that someone we're placing them in their final resting place. We know that when we do so, our respect comes from the substance and wherever that may be. So this week we're reminded of that sacred act. And I know that Milo is going to give us some more of his own insights around perhaps some of the other themes that come out of this week's portion. And again, one of the gifts is we get to hear Milo read and learn from our Torah. And so we have a number of aliyot, those honors, who arise to the bima and come and bless the Torah and offer blessings. And so for our first aliyah over the Torah, I delight in calling upon grandparents Alan and Marcia Green and Dinah Ricos. And aunts and uncles Samantha and Yaniv, Devorah and Adam Green.
Ya'amdu Yitzchak ben Aryeh, Miriam bat Avraham, Shmona bat Yitzchak uMiriam, Yaniv ben Yehuda, Adam ben Yitzchak uMiriam Harishon.
Hello, darling.
Thank you.
No, fine. That's good. Tell us when to start.
Yes.
Okay, Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah,
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher borcha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, notei ha'torah.
Amen.
Gerveteshov Anohi Imaham Tenuli Ahuza Kaver Imaham Ve'ekbarameti Malefana Vaya Anu Venehet Et Avraham Namor Lo.
Baruch atah
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Amen.
And for our second Aliyah, I delight in calling upon Yvette and George and Constantine.
יעמדו יעל בת יצחק ומרים, אברהם בן יעל השני. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Give the show Anahi Imahem Tenuli Ahuza Kever Imahem the Ekbaram Give the show Shema'uni Adoni Nasi Elohim Atabat Eloheinu Them Hifar Kevarnu Kevar Mataha Ishmi Mene Akivero Lo Ilemi Meha Mikivor Mataha
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan betachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And for the blessing and reading of our third Aliyah, I delight in calling upon our bar mitzvah, Milo Simon Ricos.
Ya'amod, 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 Matityahu Shimon ben Yael, Bachur habar mitzvah.
Baruch Adonai Ha'am V'Ra.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Ha'am V'Ra Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vaydaber itam lomor im yesh et nafshahem likbor et metim ofana Shema'uni uf iguli ben Ephraim ben Zohar Vayten li et mirat hamachpela asher lo asher biksesadehu behe'esef maleh yitnena li Bethlehem la'huzakaver Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher naten lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata Bethlehem Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And whenever we reach a new moment of joy and blessing in our tradition, we join together for the words of Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu hazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu והגיענו לזמן הזה.
this time I'd like to call upon Constantine and Adam and Alan Green to lift and dress our Torah. Will you please rise?
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי לי
We now come to the concluding part of our Torah service, which is called Haftarah, literally conclusion. This Haftarah today comes from the second book of Kings, and book of Kings is divided into two, and this, Milo's correcting, first book of Kings. But both of these books, our Talmud said, were written by the prophet Jeremiah, and they will be, this reading will be framed in blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nviim tovim v'retzav divrihem hine imarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai havoher b'torah Uv Moshe Avdo, Uv Israel Amo, Uv Invieh Ha'emet V'Tzedek. Vaya'an Hamelech David Vayomer, Kir'u li Lavat Shava, Vatavo Lifnei Hamelech Vata Amor Lifnei Hamelech, Vayishava Hamelech Vayomar, Hai Adonai, Asher Pada, Et Nafshi Mikol Sarah, Ki Ka'asher Mishpati La Badonai, Elohei Israel Lemor, Ki Shlomo Vane Yimlo Ahare, Vehu Yashav Al Kis'i Tatai Ki Ken E'esi Hayom Hazeh Vatikar Bat Sheva Apayim Eretz Vatishtahu Lamele Vatomer Wahi Adoni Hamele David Le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam zu'er kol halomim sadik b'ho hadorot ha'el ha'ne'emen ha'omer ve'osei hamdaber u'mkayim shekol v'rav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah va'al ha'avodah va'al ha'nvi'im va'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Feina tata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdisha v'limuha lehavod otifarot al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu anahunu modim la umvarhim ota yitpara shimha v'fikol hai tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai imkedish ha-Shabbat.
At this time, I'd like to call upon Adler and Theodore Ricos to open the ark doors as we continue singing together as Chaim He. Will you please rise?
את חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hello. Welcome to my bar mitzvah. To start off, I will be talking about my Torah portion. It begins with the story of Abraham and Sarah, and how Sarah has just passed at the age of 127. Abraham then started to look for a place in which to bury her. Since Abraham was living in the land of the Hittites, he sought permission from Ephron, who was a Hittite, to buy land, which includes the cave of Machpelah, in which to bury Sarah. And Ephron had made it a gift, but Abraham, the honest man that he is, said, "Thank you very much for the gift, but I will pay you for how much it is worth." And then realizing how honest Abraham is, who didn't want a favor, Ephron then sold it to him for the full price of 400 shekels of silver. After burying her in the cave of Machpelah, Abraham had sent his servant to find a wife for his son Isaac. But since his servant was unable to find a nice Jewish girl, Isaac did not have to obey that oath that the servant had sworn to Abraham of finding a proper girl for Isaac to marry. Isaac would end up getting married to a woman named Rebekah. Some of the lessons that this portion teaches us about are preparing for the death of a loved one and about dealing with your loss. An example would be the death of my dad's mother, Grandma Sherry, and other great-grandparents. Although I have never met her, I know that she was a nice person, and she was always never met them. I know that they were nice people and that they were always happy. I know that they loved children and would have loved to be here today. It is sad that she cannot be here today, that they cannot be here today, but they will always be with us in our memories and in our hearts. Fortunately, I have my grandpa Dino, my grandpa Alan, and my grandma Marcia to love and share family values with. In addition to what the portion teaches us about the love of family, it also shows us that a person must do any business transaction with honesty and integrity, regardless of whether the transaction is being carried out with a friend or with a stranger. Even though Abraham was grieving and sad, he did not want to take the advantage of the generosity and kindness offered to him by Ephron. His business dealings with Ephron reflect the ethical standards which he demonstrated, truly set an example for all of us in our daily lives. What this means for my life is that I know that when I lose someone I loved or cared about, it is hard to deal with that loss and not believe that they have passed. This kind of changed my life and how I think, because now I know that when we lose the ones we love and we are never prepared for it, and we have to deal with that loss in our life. But I know that I will always have my family by my side during that tough time whenever it comes. What this also means for my life is that I should always deal honestly and never take advantage of anyone, just like how Abraham did not take advantage of Ephron's offer for the cave of Machpelah. Question that comes to mind is, what is Abraham, when dealing with Ephron the Hittite, insist on paying full price? I now understand that he insists on paying full price because Abraham was an honest man and he did not want to have to owe Ephron a favor in return. Another question is if it is appropriate to do business differently with friends than with strangers. I know that is different because you can trust your friend to be honest with you, make the right deal, but you can't trust a stranger because you can't trust that they might take advantage of you. I believe this lesson relates to me becoming a bar mitzvah because the older I get into my adult life, I'll be presented with more adult challenges that I will deal with in an honest, dependable, and forthright fashion. Finally, I'd like to give you a couple thank yous to some special people, like my loving family who is thankfully here to support me, my friends who were able to come here and celebrate with me today. I want to also thank the congregation and my Hebrew tutor, Eliza, who has made sure I know every prayer and that I was ready for today. Finally, I want to thank the rabbis, which includes Rabbi Navarez, Rabbi Bernstein, and Rabbi Gimbel, for meeting and working with me these past weeks to make sure this all goes as smoothly as possible. In my closing sentence, I hope that this Shabbat we spend time with family and friends and enjoy what we have. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov, elanu. Siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov and mazel tov, siman tov, elanu.
Milo, take a deep breath. Are you breathing? Breathing a little easier than you were maybe an hour or so ago? Mm-hmm. Good. There are some students that I've known since they were in preschool, and there are others that we just met. And relatively speaking, we're new friends. And one of the things that I have been very impressed by when I encounter you is you have a lot of spinning plates going on. You've got a lot going on. You're juggling this and that, and you're doing it so deftly. And the amazing thing about becoming a bar mitzvah is that up to this point, a lot of those plates have been placed there for you. This bar mitzvah being one of them. And now, as an adult, it's your choice. Which plates are worth keeping up, and which plates don't need to be kept up as much. And in some ways, your journey is very similar to Abraham's. It's scary to approach this journey into adulthood, this journey into the unknown. Abraham didn't know what he was going to get into with his journey, and you don't know what the road ahead of you is going to be like. None of us do. But I do know that you have an incredible foundation. You have a solid core of your family and friends who are here, not just because they love you, but because they're proud of you and what you have shown today in your leadership and what you've shown. But being an adult is not just about a choice about what to do. It's about who you surround yourself with. And going forward, you're also going to be able to make the choice to embrace those who support you. And which of those spinning plates, not just of stuff to do and things to do, but of those you surround yourself with, which plates are worth keeping up? My hope and my prayer for you as you become bar mitzvah and affirm your place as a bar mitzvah is that the words of Pirkei Avot, the teachings of our ancestors, resonate with you. Al tifrosh min hatzibor. Do not separate yourself from the community. Your family, your friends, your congregation, the entire Jewish community is here to support you. So it's my honor to invite my clergy partners up as we bestow upon you our tradition's most ancient blessing, the priestly blessing.
Milo, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, may God's face shine upon you with radiance and with grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. May God's presence ever be with you, Milo. May you be granted health and long life, the courage to fill it with much joy, with much blessing, and always peace. As we all say together, Amen.
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 Now, Milo, I'm sure you don't want any gifts or anything like that, right? No, you're good with just great. So I would like to call up a member of our board of directors, Allison Prager, to present you with some gifts on behalf of the congregation.
Milo, it's a pleasure to meet you today. I had the honor of talking to your mom earlier this week, and to say she was proud is a complete understatement. She was so looking forward to today, and she has a lot to be proud of. You did a phenomenal job. Integrity is my favorite word, and the fact at age 14 you understand what integrity means, and you spoke about it so beautifully. You have a wonderful life in front of you, so stay strong. So you're looking at me and you're saying, all right, who's this woman I've never met before? But as the rabbi said, I come bearing gifts, so I have some value for you. So a couple of things I'm giving you today is a certificate of accomplishment of everything you did today. Also, in these beautiful boxes, you're going to have a Kiddush cup and candlestick holders. I got bat mitzvahed a long time ago at Congregation Beth Israel, and I used my candlesticks last night. So they will be with you for a long time and have a lot of memories to come. Also, there is a book, Doorsteps on Our House, a terrific resource as you go through life and want to look stuff up. And then a tree has been planted in your name in Israel, which I understand the rabbis planted last week? Absolutely. Fresh. So that, and then a gift certificate from NIFTY, the National Federation of Temple Youth, so you can go on an Israel trip. I went on a NIFTY trip, and I still talk about that today. It's just, what a great experience. You ditch your parents, you go with his friends, awesome time. So with that, a mazel tov to you and to your family. Congratulations.
Thank you, Allison. Our service begins to conclude with Aleinu, on page 282, and then 287. Won't you please rise?
עלינו לשבח לדורות הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We remain standing. Turn to page 294 for our mourners Kaddish. Perhaps there are some of you who have come to say Kaddish for those you love who died in this season. And today, especially Milo, we are thinking about the people that you so beautifully spoke about in the generations past of your families. We join together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'almad yivrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon. U'v'chayei d'chol Beit Israel. Ba'gala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach ve'elam hulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shmei d'kusha b'richu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Tamiran ve'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shmama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha. We pray that their memories will always be for us a blessing.
I invite you to put your prayer books down and remain standing, perhaps put your arm around someone near and dear to you, and we invite the immediate family to join us on the bima as we prepare to make Havdalah. The act of making a separation, Havdalah, is actually a sacred separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week as the sun sets. As we begin to welcome a new week, we acknowledge that Shabbat has come to a close. We do this through 3 ritual items that help us transition during this time. The wine, the sweetness that will remain on our lips for the week that is to come. The besamim, the varied spices, as we'll take a sniff to fill that voided mystical soul, Shabbat departs. And the Eish, the candle that we will kindle, will extinguish to note that Shabbat has come to an end. But we also note that every time we light and kindle, we remind ourselves we have the possibility to create anew something beautiful in the week to come. We join together.
Hine el Yeshuati Eftach velo echad Ki ozir ezimrat Adonai Vayehi li Yeshua Ushavtem Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh ya lai ya la 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 lai 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 ya la 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 lai lai ya la lai 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 ya la lai lai ya la lai ya lai ya la 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 lai 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 ya la 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 lai lai ya la lai 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 ya la lai lai ya la lai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol hamavdil ben kodesh lechol hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Vatotenu imchol Zareinu v'chaspenu Yarbe kahol V'hakochavim balayla Shavua tov Shavua tov Shavua tov Shavua tov A good week a week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera. Yavo Eleinu B'Mashiach ben David B'Mashiach ben David Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu
As we say Shavua Tov,
Shavua Tov.
may you have a good and peaceful week. We also say Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov.
To Milo on this incredible milestone. Shavua Tov, may you have a good and peaceful week and go off to celebrate this wonderful occasion. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.